Good evening. Tonight's story is going to be different because tonight's story, which I'm going to narrate to you, is a true horror story. This happened to one of my close family members, and I will narrate to you exactly how they have told me. So sit back, relax, and settle into the night. The story is set in Hong Kong in the 90s. My aunt, her husband, and her 2 children moved to Hong Kong. She had a daughter who was 5 years old and a newly born baby, and he was a few months old when they moved to Hong Kong. They moved into a 3-story apartment. They used to live on the ground floor. Her in-laws used to live on the floor above them, and they had other tenants who used to live above them. She tells me that when she moved into the house, it didn't feel right at all, as if there was something uneasy about it. She had this heavy feeling. When she settled in, things seemed normal in the beginning. She tells me that night was like any other night. She had come down from her in-laws' apartment above with her 2 children. Her husband used to work long hours and used to come home late at night. She settled the kids into bed and went to sleep. The layout of the room was, she had a double bed. Her 5-year-old daughter was sitting on her left next to the wall. She was in the middle, and a newly born baby's cot was on the right side of her. And the room door was next to the baby cot on the other side. She tells me somewhere around 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock at night, while she was sleeping, she heard her room door opening, and she thought it was her husband who had come back from work. As soon as she called her husband's name out, all of a sudden, a dark figure started to rise from the other side of the cot, coming over her newly born baby, stretching its neck out, and came right on top of my aunt's face and said to my aunt, "It's not him, it's me." My aunt tells me it was the most hideous, scariest looking face she has ever seen in her entire life. As soon as she saw that face, her newly born baby started crying. Her daughter next to her started crying, who were both sleeping, and she was still in a shock, just about to scream. And as soon as she did, luckily, her husband, who was in the living room, who had already come back from work, ran towards them and turned the lights on. She was screaming and shaking with extreme fear. They ran up to her in-laws' house, started knocking at the door, and stayed the night that night at their place. They never went back to that apartment again. They started searching for a new place, and in the coming weeks, they moved into a new apartment. After this incident, my aunt did some research to what had happened in the past, and she found out that that apartment was actually haunted. Many years ago, a lady had committed suicide in that house, and that place was haunted. Not many people stayed there for long. Good night.